What is going on, you guys? Today I have another episode for you where we're going to be reviewing a YouTuber named Bo Refik, and he's going to be talking about why leaving America for Eastern Europe was good for his mental health and his wallet. Let's get into it.
Welcome back, tribe. Today's episode, I wanted to talk to you about why leaving America was good for my mental health and my wallet. The elephant in the room is safety, of course. I can't lie to you and say it doesn't feel good to live in a society where you don't have to watch your back when you go outside. You don't have to watch your back when you do something as simple as shopping. You could be out all hours of the night. There's no crime problems, rampant drug or gang problems. That makes a huge difference on your mental health. Just knowing that you're in a safe, secure environment allows you to relax emotionally, psychologically. Allows you to really just enjoy life without worrying about things that you shouldn't be worrying about in a, first world society where law and order should be the norm. But I bring this up first because I'm seeing how crazy it is for some of the guys DMing me and saying how they can't stand living in the UK anymore. They can't stand living in parts of Germany or France, or a bunch of the guys from America, and just how much society around them in just the 5-10 years or so has degraded completely, where the communities they're living in are unrecognizable. And it seems everything's getting worse. It's not something you can vote your way out of. So you're in an environment that's stressing you out. And this stress, not only does it mess with you mentally, but it messes with the thoughts you have, the quality of the ideas that come into your brain. All the advanced concepts you're able to crystallize in your mind and turn them into reality. When something as simple as safety, security, law and order, justice is missing from the place that you live, it definitely affects your ability, man, to have good, clear thoughts. I can tell you when I first moved here to Romania, the first thing that was shocking to me that I was used to in America was homeless encampments, just homeless people everywhere, just tents everywhere. You don't recognize, or I should say, you don't realize just how much that's been normalized to you in America. I mean, I'm gonna turn the camera around for you. You can see I'm just walking, dude, live. There is no tents, there's no trash everywhere. There's no homeless encampments. This is a large park up ahead. You don't see any of that crazy shit here. Look, across the street. I mean, check it out, man. That's a park right up ahead. If this was America, you know exactly what this would be looking like right now, or what this sidewalk would be looking like. Being in a clean environment that's safe like this, considering the stark contrast of what we're used to in the United States, has an enormous effect on the way you think about life, how you see your future, and what plans are for that future. I'm more relaxed now. I feel like I could plant down roots here. I feel like this is a safe place to start a family. Like this is a great place to raise children. Like I don't have to worry about my wife going out shopping, buying something at the grocery store, and something happening in the parking lot, or being carjacked at a gas station, or avoiding a bad part of town. There's no real bad parts of town. Not bad in the sense of like American bad, like no-go zones in parts of the UK, Sweden. There's no real no-go zones here. Some places are just more decrepit than others, but for the most part, it's just a unified people, some living a little poorer than others. But there is no hostility here amongst one another in the sense of like, let's be honest, man, there are racial tensions going on in the multicultural West right now. People aren't integrating properly, not respecting each other's cultures. You have mass unchecked migration, and it's causing social upheaval. That's the elephant in the room. They don't want us to talk about it. A lot of us moving to these other countries are seeing homogenous society that's living together without any issues. Japan is an example that we constantly cite. They have anti-immigrant policies. It's very strict on how you can live there in terms of applications for visas, and you need a lot of qualifications, but look how polite, how well-mannered society is, and we use them as a model of what everybody else should look like. And that is in large part due to the hegemony. There's a form of camaraderie here, some brotherhood, nationalism. They say that's far-right mentality, and being a nationalist is somehow negative, but obviously society runs better when there is a singular group of people with a singular culture, and they tolerate everybody else. There's a big difference. They haven't had their boundaries completely evaporated, stepped all over and redrawn by, what else could you possibly call it? A mass wave of migrants that fail to assimilate, and it causes the destabilization of the society. Why do you think people say Paris looks like shit now? Why do you think people say, the UK is unrecognizable, London looks like shit now? Yada, yada. We all know what's happening. We see it on the news. If you haven't been paying attention, there's riots and crime and jackings and robberies and crazy shit like that happening all the time. People are dying to get out. It's no longer the utopia it used to be. It was never a utopia, but it was never a hellhole like this. So as far as mental health goes, just being in such an environment, man, that's extremely positive, that you feel good about the future, helps you think about things you may not have otherwise. It helps foster these kinds of deep introspective thoughts. You see the world in a different light.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate too, because it's kind of crazy that, for example, like somewhere like the US or some of these other countries, like they can't be diverse and tolerate and respect each other, right? Like that's the craziest part, right? So like that would be really amazing if that were the case. And of course, there's a lot of people that are that way, right? They respect each other no matter where they're from, right? Their background, and that's amazing, right? Outside of because there's people who aren't that way, and it's really unfortunate when you see it. U.S., UK, wherever, right? And I do like that he's showing this, like he's like walking around, like it looks very safe, it looks very clean, and he touched on like if you have your girlfriend or your wife, being safe at any time of the day, you can walk around at night, you could raise a family and not have to worry about their safety, right? Like these are big, gigantic things.
It's no longer walking by a guy and putting your hand in your pocket like you have a piece, or making sure you watch him extra close because something might happen. Being in a high trust society and just seeing every other man just like you getting ahead with their families, just people pushing baby carriages everywhere, and you can tell the atmosphere is so different. We're not looking at each other as enemies, we're looking at each other as fellow countrymen. That kind of energy is just missing from most of the West that's dealing with multiculturalism, whatever you want to call it, mass migration. Don't care what word you choose to use, whether you're on the left or the right. I can tell you simply, living in a country like this, the guys in Southeast Asia will tell you, the guys in Central Asia will tell you, all the way Balkan, Europe, all over the place where you go, where societies are safe, stable, monocultural, and are functioning exactly how we expect the West to function. That they are feeling the same things. The hedonism, the materialism, all of that stuff is missing. People in these countries are typically much more family oriented, much more down to earth. They're more grounded in life. Family values matter. People are still religious. They still go to community service. They're still in church on Sundays. There's the communal aspect that's completely missing, like in the West. In America, for example, you might not even know your neighbor, but he's across the hallway from you in your apartment. We're so disconnected from one another. It just affects your mental health. That's why people report a record number, lonelier than ever, feeling more isolated than ever. It's just leading to depression, anxiety, all sorts of mental illness. We lack community. We lack togetherness. As men, we lack brotherhood. We lack a lot of the basic things that would make a person happy. It's not the material possessions. It's not the high salaries. It's not the hedonism, just indulging in dopamine, short-term dopamine that does nothing for you long-term. That doesn't make you content with where you are in life. It doesn't make you proud. You don't have a set direction. You're just aimlessly wandering through life. All that stuff exists here in foreign countries because the people are often surrounded by family and friends. They have large social circles. They're grounded in their mentality is always usually the same. We don't have extreme polarization like you would, for example, in politics in the United States. It's not like we can't talk about politics at the dinner table or God knows what else that's trending in America, the flavor of the month, where it's completely ripping apart already loose functioning families. The people here aren't invested in all that extra bullshit. It's just all that matters in life here is, do you have a roof over your head? Are you happy? Is the family healthy? Basic things like that. Health is wealth. Spending time, making memories and lasting experiences with family, friends, those deep connections, people understand that that's what truly matters here. Maybe it is because they have less. Maybe it is because they don't have those high salaries and consumerist mentality of the United States, for example. Like they need to buy things to make themselves feel better. People here are more frugal naturally by nature because the things they really want is good family relationships, significant others, marriages, children. That's what people are after. Little trinkets to buy or the materialistic culture in general is just not as appealing. It's basically become an addiction in the West. And that leads to keeping up with the Joneses kind of mentality where you're constantly competing with one another based on the material possessions you own. It's never about how well you're doing. It's just about how much stuff you got. It's not about how good your relationship with your woman is. It's about the next woman you could swipe right on. It's about how many women you slept with. For the ladies, it's the same thing. How many guys did they bag? What simp bought me what? What bag? And how much I managed to extract out of this man. It's a joke, dude. Relationships are a joke in the West. Family values are a joke in the West. And you're surprised why people experience massive boosts in mental health and happiness. And another aspect that ties into the wallet.
Well, and I think that's why there's like a growing number of people saying that they don't have like actual real friends, right? Especially like in the West, right? Is like those that choose to step out of like the hedonism and the short-term dopamine, right? Like the bars, the clubs, all the casual dating, drugs, etc., right? Like it almost seems like you're an outlier. Like you're the weird one for doing that, but you're making healthy choices rather than doing the sort of like you're going down the toilet drain choices like the other ones, right? So like it's hard to make real friends who also have healthy mindsets and want to level up too. So like there's like a growing trend. You can see it like guys posting YouTube videos and like on social media of like them being like, yeah, I haven't had like a real friend in a while. And a lot of the times these guys are on their come up too, right? Like they're leveling up. They're not into partying, etc., hookup culture, and it shows, right? I mean, that's going to ultimately separate you let this be an encouragement for you if you're watching this. That's ultimately going to separate you big time later down the line from the ones that decided to stay with the lifestyle of all the short-term dopamine and hedonism, etc. Right? So, you're not alone, and keep going, because you can find that group of people who are like high level, healthy, and you're helping each other grow.
Portion is cost of living, because it's so much cheaper here day to day, because the prices aren't as outrageous. It does take a load off your shoulders, and I mean it's a huge burden that completely evaporates when you're no longer surviving paycheck by paycheck. Mm-hmm. So when I say I'm happier psychologically, and my wallet is also happier, I'll explain to you guys as I walk by my apartment, so you could just see basic cost of living things, and you can understand just how much money you could possibly be saving by living in a place like this. We've covered a ton of episodes like that before. I mean, look, man, this area is super clean. What you're seeing right here, guys, is just a normal part of Bucharest, and you can get a place easily, one of these apartments with a shop right down the street, 400 euros a month, 350 euros a month. Just take 350 bucks, 400 bucks.
Whoa.
The dollar has basically reached parity with the euro. That's nuts, dude. And it's clean. Look, not a single homeless person. No tents, nothing. Everywhere you turn, it's clean. I'll go get my haircut down the street behind us.
By the way, I know I heard that correctly. He said like 400 euros a month. And let's say it was a little bit more. Let's just say, to be generous, it's like 1,000 euros. Just hypothetically, right? That's still close to 1,000 US dollars. And so if you're living in one of those places, you're probably spending at least 3 times that. So almost like 1,500, 2,000, 3,000 for rent, right? And you might be splitting with roommates because you need to do that to afford it. And just imagine, right? Like if you had a decent place for like 1,000 or even less, like 800, 600, 400. That's crazy. He said 300 to 400. Imagine how much you would be saving and how much your lifestyle would just go up. You'd probably have a decent gym. You'd probably be able to eat the kind of food you wanted, right? You probably have better relationships with people. So, something to think about.
The gym is just a short walk up this road. Buildings are fairly new. The architecture is being revamped. Even if they're a little bit older like this, they're being resurfaced and remodeled. I mean, look at this. It's nothing like what they're describing to keep you stuck in that trap, to keep you in that nasty place that gets you angry, that gets you afraid, that makes you look at everybody suspicious. That's what's crazy about America. Right before I left, is like your neighbor is your enemy now. That's essentially what politics and what the culture wars have done to everyday Americans. It's like every stranger is somebody to be looked at negatively, as if they're bringing you harm in some way or another. How do you expect a society to function and thrive if everybody sees each other as the enemy? That feeling doesn't exist overseas. I can ask somebody if I need help for something. I can literally start up a conversation with anybody, anywhere, about anything, and they'll be welcoming. They'll try to invite you to their house for a meal. It's not weird for you to strike up a conversation here. And people literally like you so much to say, come over, let's have a beer, let's have a drink, let me treat you in my place as a guest, where they'll like bring out a buffet of food for you. The hospitality, it's just so different here. When would you ever do?
Think about that, like high energy, friendly, positive. Like a lot of these Western places, you don't really see that in the same way. Sure, there's some people, but like imagine the whole area, the whole culture, everyone around you being like that. That would raise your vibration, your high energy. You'd be feeling good a lot more often. Like imagine, you could actually just be friends with your neighbors, and you don't need to be necessarily, but like you could at least be like, hey, how's it going? Like people like wanting to be warm and friendly to you rather than being cold and shut off. Like that sounds a lot more desirable than some of the other places that we're talking about in Western society.
With a stranger you just met in America. It's not the norm at all. The first thought that would cross your mind is, what if this person's like a serial killer? So yeah, being around people that are still positive thinking, that do have family planning, moral values, solid extended family structures, makes you want to long for the same thing. It rubs off on you. You change the way you think. The perceptions of what's important changes. And it's such a boon for your mental health. I'm telling you, using material possessions to make yourself happy. The hedonistic consumerist culture that we're in America, it's basically designed to keep you emotionally dependent on those little things, to keep you consuming, to keep you buying, to keep you depressed. Because the more emotional you are, the easier you are to manipulate. The easier it is for you to be manipulated by an advertisement to purchase something that you think might make you happy. Family is what makes you happy. Friends is what makes you happy. Your woman makes you happy. Your children make you happy. a smile on their faces. Excellent. Makes you happy. All that stuff is somehow seen as beneath you in America. Starting a family, having a wife, thinking about kids, raising them, all that stuff. Think about all the arguments that we have when it comes to family planning, starting your legacy. It's so negative. People are at each other's throats. Here, you're in societies where that seems alien to everybody else. Like, what? Are you weird? Are you dysfunctional? Are you antisocial? I guess that's the way to describe America. It's just one giant country of antisocial people, or antisocial behavior from people, or the culture itself has antisocial properties. And it's leading to complete degradation. And I just arrived at the gym. I won't harp on some more. I'll just let you guys see. This is the gym. Look at this building. For sale in English. That's another thing. It's very easy in these countries to deal with English speakers only. Obviously, it's the business language of the world. This is where I go to the gym, you guys. It's only, look, just new buildings everywhere. Here's a single old one. Again, it'll probably be renovated. And you have this little park you can walk through. This little like private green section area. I've never been in here. It smells great. The pine trees and shit. Everything is well manicured. I mean, what the hell? I'm assuming this is the little private area for these apartments and maybe those apartments across the street. I'm not even sure. A little walkway here. Bro, where's the tents? Where are the homeless people? Where are the needles? I know you know what I'm talking about if you live in a big city in America.
Yeah, I mean, I'm American, and, you know, I lived up in, like, Northern Virginia. I've been around D.C., Maryland. I lived in San Francisco and L.A. for a while. And I've also lived in places that were, like, more, country, I guess you could say, or more like, you had, like, acres of land, things like that. So I've seen a little bit of both, right? But, yeah, no, it was kind of a nightmare, in, like, D.C., Maryland, San Francisco, L.A. Like, I saw they were giving out clean needles for people, right? So they weren't passing around different things. And there was, like, needle trash cans in San Francisco. There was people shouting at you, right? Like, aggressive homeless, right? And I hate to say that, right? Because it sucks. Like, it's sad, right? And you want to be able to help them. It's just like, it can be scary sometimes too, right? Someone's shouting at you, someone's threatening to hit you, or acting like they have, like, like a knife or something in their pocket, right? It's scary. And you don't really want to live like that, right? That's why it's important, like what he's showing, like he's walking around everywhere. There's no trash. It looks safe everywhere, right? People are friendly. I mean, look, like the choice is kind of obvious. You get the scary place, right? Right? Not so clean, or you get the very warm, friendly, clean place. Sounds like an easy decision.
This is not even crazy for this country. This is just standard, bro. Everything is clean like this. The dirtiest areas I've seen here are like some of the cleaner areas in America. Do you have any idea what that does for your mental health? Your psychology? How invested you feel in the community when it's being taken care of? Look at this. This is insane. We just took a long walkway to get, the gym entrance is right there by all that yellow shit, some weird polygons. Bro. And they're asking me, are you ever gonna come back to America? You must have lost your fucking mind if you think I'm gonna overpay to live in a fucking dump that has absolutely no future, is experiencing monetary flight. The society is getting more dangerous. Everything about America is just pointing downwards. The empire, it feels like it's falling. We don't have leadership. We have managers, and they're shitty ones at that. They're driving the country into the ground. If everything was going great, I would never even come out here. But it isn't, boys. That's the truth. Instead, you got everybody else. Look how beautiful this is. That would rather travel to other countries. Take advantage of the power of the dollar while you still can. Live a life well above the means. Instead of surviving, you could finally be thriving. Who the fuck doesn't want that to be reality? I'll just film the last minute here, walking into the gym. I'm gonna go have a workout, and then we'll finish the rest of the video as I walk back through the apartment, talk about cost of living a little bit. So dope. We'll continue shortly. Welcome back, boys. Welcome back. All right, so we just arrived back at my apartment. Just had a 2-hour plus workout, burning around 900 calories. Just a quick tour of what it looks like. All of it is furnished, by the way. You don't pay for any of this stuff. This apartment specifically is going for €1,000 a month, and this is considered on the more pricier end, by the way. And that's a bathroom and a bedroom, same thing. It's all furnished, everything's good to go. And you get a little terrace with the view outside, whatever. The point is, when you factor in the apartment, and by the way, let me back it up for a second. So there are apartments literally probably one street down that cost €400, 350 euros. Honestly, I just chose this one because it has a little bit more modern and updated furniture. That's it. That's why I'm paying more. Now, when you factor in food, I mean, I can show you. I ordered, and this is what I eat every day if I don't have time to cook for whatever reason. Peep this out. I order from this company right here. It's called Salad Box. It's chicken, diced carrots, avocado, sweet potatoes. Let's see if we can open it just a little bit. There you go.
Eating good.
A very basic, quick, healthy meal. Tomatoes, chicken, all that stuff. Just so you can see the price. So I ordered 2 of these. Peep it out. 64 lei for 2 of these. And that's delivered, by the way, with tip. Now, if we do the currency conversion here, 2 meals is 14 bucks delivered with the tip.
2 meals.
And again, that's if you're feeling lazy and you don't want to cook. If you want to cook for yourself, that price goes way down. But you're not going to find any decent, healthy food like that in America. 2 meals for $14. That's one example. So when you factor in the cost of transportation doesn't exist, where I live, I could walk to anything, anywhere. Either it's a mall, gas station, grocery store, the gym, hospital, whatever it is that you need, you can walk to it. So transportation turns into zero. The only time you'll pay for transportation.
Yeah, and getting rid of all your like Uber fees, your car fees, right, bike fees, whatever, right? Like if you could walk everywhere out of convenience, that's so much better.
Transportation is if you want to use something public. For example, an Uber to take you somewhere further you wouldn't want to walk. The Ubers are like $3, $4 to whatever destination you want. And they're here within 60 seconds because this is a high density area. There's always Ubers available. So the off chance that you need an Uber every once in a while to go to a faraway store, whatever it is that you would want to go to, $4 here and there. All to say is that once you factor in all your living costs, you can make it here easily with $2,000 a month. Easy. And your quality of life would increase.
Wow.
It's crazy that you could get a place like this for $1,000 with a parking spot in a hot spot of town. Again, remember, I'm living in the upper class area, a little bit rich, but that's still ridiculously affordable for most people if they have remote income. Even some guys on their pension, if it's high enough, could afford to come out here and no problem. You would live great. Food, going out to restaurants, it's probably 1/3 of the price in America. You can eat a nice ass steak with your woman, entree for 2 plus dessert plus drinks. You could maybe spend $100. We're talking nice restaurant. And that would be easy, $300, $400 in America for a nice steakhouse. The only things that are expensive here is random luxury items. I guess you could say cars, electronics, gas. Those things have always been more expensive in Europe. There's extra taxes on top of them. But how often do you purchase electronics? How often do you purchase vehicles? And gas, yeah, that might hurt you if you need to drive everywhere like an American would drive. The distance between places here renders driving basically obsolete. You can walk almost everywhere. Public transportation is cheap. I just mentioned Uber. Now that's private transport. I haven't talked about the buses or the subway system, which is like, imagine if the Uber is $4. Imagine how cheap the public transport is. So to summarize, $2,000 a month, more than enough here. The fact that you get to save so much money and your quality of life goes up, you're able to enjoy life more. You're not stressing about money. You're not stressing about bills. The quality of the products you're getting is good. You're not missing any amenities from America. You get to live your life and be surrounded by people that aren't ideologically possessed, aren't obese, aren't tribal with extremist views, very family oriented, still religious, believes in God, Christian nation, Orthodox, Eastern Orthodox primarily. People still go to church every Sunday, full of families, baby carriages, safe, clean environment. I would say it's at least worth considering. Bare minimum, take a flight, travel around the world, go to Southeast Asia, go to places in Eastern Europe, go Central Asia, parts of Africa, just travel around the world, man. Find a place that really speaks to you. It could be the thing that rejuvenates some life into you. Maybe you're surrounded by bad people in a bad environment and just draining the motivation, the ambition out of you. Maybe you need to surround yourself in a completely new place. Maybe you just got to feel that novelty of something new and breathe fresh, clean air and the feeling of being in a brand new city and opportunities abound, all that stuff. It could help you light a way for which direction you need to take in life. And for me, it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. And everybody I've talked to that's either traveling or doing the expat/passport bro thing all say the same thing. They're glad they left. They should have done it earlier. Why did it take so long? If you've taught yourself some skills that are remote, think about this seriously. If you don't have any remote skills, you should heavily consider investing in yourself, teaching you something that's marketable and getting out as soon as possible. Because unfortunately, America now sucks the life out of you and the American dream no longer exists. But it does in other parts of the world. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff for the algorithm. Channel's new, we're still growing.
Awesome, guys. Yeah, this is a really insanely good video. So if you made it this far, thank you for watching. One last thing I would tack onto this is if you're thinking about doing something like this, you want to develop a remote skill, live in a country where you can stretch your dollar, start to really enjoy your life, be careful who you talk to about it, right? Because you're going to talk to a lot of people who aren't really like awake to this, right? Like in the US, the UK, wherever, and they'll be like, they might be like crabs in a bucket a little bit. Like, oh, I don't know, bro. Like, I don't know if you, isn't it a little dangerous over there? Like, I don't know if you should try that. Do your own research, figure out the good places to live, and I promise you, you're going to be able to stretch your dollar anyways, you know, whether it's Southeast Asia, Latin America, Eastern Europe. I know he mentioned like some guys are enjoying parts of Africa now too. So do your research. There's good spots you can live in. And, you know, if this calls to you, you know, take the action, protect your energy. Don't tell everybody what you're doing. Just you figure out a way to make it happen. And then you're really going to start seeing like your life unfold in a much more fulfilling way. So anyways, guys, that's enough of an ear beating for me, but thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. You got this, bro.